Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, officer.
You need a bailiff?
That would be fantastic. You're not involved in the case?
No, sir, I am not.
Then you are my bailiff, if you would like to take your
Hell yeah.
position to the left of me.
I'm gonna be doing bailiff for the judge. Do you want us to wait to bring the defendant in until after you call court in session, or just? Oh,
Nah, they can come on in. They're already headed in. Great. It's a bird.
I do recommend we keep them in cuffs.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just.
That seems smart. All right. Hello, all you fine citizens of Los Santos. I am your Supreme Justice, Mike Kiffer. Before we begin things, I wish to lay out the rules of my courtroom. Contempt will begin at $5,000 and go up from there. I will not tolerate any outbursts or violence from anyone in this room. Smoking is allowed, but please remove any masks or hats and silence your phone now or face contempt when it rings. With all that being said, we are here today to perform a trial. I now call us into session. Alrighty, Miss Sina Hoshine, you stand accused of the charges second-degree murder. How do you plead to this charge?
Not guilty.
Alrighty, with that plea entered, we will be proceeding to openings. Prosecution.
Howdy, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the court. Today we're here to talk about a murder. A heinous murder. A murder of a hero. A murder of someone who is well known throughout the community. Hated by some, loved by many. On April 1st, Skylar Baker, also known as Redeploy, was found dead on a remote island north of Toledo. He had sustained 23 stab wounds, and his carotid arteries had been severed. Your Honor, this was an accident, and this was very deliberate. Today you'll hear the defense argue with diminished capacity that the defendant was overwhelmed, sleep-deprived, not fully in control. But the evidence will show that she did have options. Treatment was available to her. Professionals were ready and willing to help. Individuals, such as the hero superstar, ensured that she was surrounded by support. Therapists, such as Dr. Lola Bubbles, were made available to her immediately. She was even housed in the upper floor of the DPT, rather than in standard custody. All of this was afforded her, and she turned herself in, and all of it could have been utilized before she ever escaped or escalated to murder. The defendant, after turning herself in, ultimately failed a psychological evaluation. Due to her instability and her own owlbear transformation, she was placed into watch. An institution specifically chosen so that she can receive the care she needs. Or needed. But yet, even within 24 hours of being placed in watch, the defendant broke through the front gates and was roaming the island freely. That behavior did not stop throughout her time in watch, and persisted even after she regained her human form. Her conduct in custody reflected the same pattern down in Bolingbroke: defiant, evasive, and refusal to take responsibility. She was frequently found with lockpicks. She acted in ways that were demanding and unapologetic, dismissive of the gravity of her situation. This is not the behavior of someone who is seeking help, Your Honor, and this is not the behavior of someone who is accountable for their action. The evidence recovered from the scene is consistent with the defendant's mutation, and upon forensic analysis, matched her DNA. The defendant later turned herself in, as stated, bringing the weapon with her, the one used to kill Mr. Baker. A red katana. The weapon still bore the victim's blood on the blade and the defendant's own blood and skin cells on the hilt, confirming that it was her that wielded it. And most importantly, she admitted to killing Skylar Baker. The evidence in this case is not speculation, and it is very direct, and it all points to Miss Hoshing. And Your Honor, the state will show that the defendant's repeated attempts to flee custody and her continued possession of tools for escape and her ongoing refusal to take responsibility demonstrates that she remains a danger and a flight risk to everybody in the city. A life was taken on April 1st, and it was violent, and it was deliberate, but most importantly, it was permanent. And it should not be taken lightly. And for that reason, the state is not only asking for this court to find the defendant guilty, but is also seeking permanent residency within Bolingbroke Penitentiary because justice requires accountability. The defendant should never again have to flee or be able to flee accountability. That is all, Your Honor.
Thank you, prosecution. Defense?
Your Honor, we stand before you because my client is being prosecuted for one of the most horrendous crimes you could think of. And I hope that everybody in this courtroom agrees that the gravity of those accusations warrants to most thought throughout of investigation. The justice system was established to make sure that the citizens of the state are, for one, not being punished for actions they did not commit, and two, that for the punishments reflects the gravity of said action. Today, we are going to prove that the reasons stated for my client to be standing in this court are nowhere close to the standard necessary for a life being taken, and that of people responsible of making sure that all of the facts need to prove any kind of guilt did not operate with the care and minute warranted the gravity of the charges being seeked out today.
Thank you, defense. Prosecution, you may call your first witness.
Oh, yes, I'd like to call Mr. Trent Gordon to the stand.
The court recognizes Officer Trent Gordon.
Trent, on April 1st, you responded to a call. Could you explain to the courts the details of that call?
The call I actually responded to was just we had received a GPS ping from Skylar himself, and that was directly to Carl Slice, and he directed myself and Holland Styles to go to that ping. We weren't expecting it to be as severe as what we came to find, but when we arrived on scene with the hero interchange, we found, unfortunately, his lifeless body there left alone. It was a horrific scene.
And where did you respond to?
It was a little peninsula or a little outlet island next to the little fishing bay area, little cove, tackle shop.
And what did you observe upon the scene at arrival?
It was gruesome. There was blood scattered throughout everywhere in the grass. There was blue fur scurrying in the wind. It was horrific.
And you said that you discovered fur, correct?
Yes, there was some blue fur scattered throughout the entire scene, even blowing within the wind.
What did you do with that fur?
We collected it for it to be then processed.
Would you
Pretty-
say, in your expert opinion as an LEO, that you handle forensic material consistently?
Definitely.
And were you involved in examining the evidence or the fur?
I was not personally. No, I
Okay.
collected it, and then I believe that was a professional who at the medical facility who processed that.
Gotcha.
Miss Sadie, were you involved in examining the evidence related to the crime scene?
I was not one who did the forensics for the crime scene itself. No.
And what items were submitted to you for analysis?
I have the I did the forensics analysis on the sword itself, the weapon.
Is it? Okay.
The red katana.
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you come about this red katana?
Objection,
the
fact not in evidence.
It is in
Uh,
the evidence, actually.
Okay.
There's an evidence section down below. This
Yeah,
clearly
you
lists
asked
the red
how she
katana.
came across this.
Let's make sure we wait until the judge responds to each of you before we start going on tangents, please.
Thank you, bailiff. I'm going to check this. One moment. That is going to be overruled because of the fact that it actually is in evidence. The provenance of the blade and how it came into PD custody is in evidence. Read your reports. Proceed, counselor.
Thank you. I'm gonna re-ask the question. How did you come into possession of the blade?
the chain of custody of the blade, the defendant surrendered the blade to the hero. The hero surrendered the blade to me for forensic testing, where I placed it into evidence.
What did you find on the blade?
When testing of the blade itself, on the upper part of the blade had one DNA traces of blood coming back to the hero known as Red Claw.
What did you find on the hilt?
The hilt had two different DNA traces. The woven part of the hilt had small traces of blood and other DNA fragments coming back to Stina Hoshin. And there were splatters of blood from the victim itself there too.
Were you present during Miss Hoshin's admission of guilt?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it recorded?
It was recorded by a Styles man.
Was her rights read to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she afforded a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am. She denied a lawyer, but we persuaded her to get one because of the gravity of the crime.
During questioning, did the defendant make any statements regarding Skylar Baker?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you elaborate to the courts?
The defendant actually gave a very long story. She was speaking about a lot of events that happened prior to what happened. With her own Skylar Baker telling people that she shot him. She was upset at him for telling people that she shot him. She had made a few statements regarding Skylar and his comportment as a hero and things that he had done. She stated that she was incredibly angry at him, but he was still her best friend. So she was trying to figure out, she was frustrated and upset that he was saying these things about her. She was trying to figure out why. She stated she met up with him and that she was on her way. I believe she said, was it the observatory somewhere, Sandy? I do forget exactly where she stated, but they decided instead to go to another location. That location, she was speaking with him, got incredibly frustrated. And in her words, she blacked out. She doesn't remember what happened, but when she woke up, she was on top of him and covered in her blood. At that time, she ran and hid under a bridge uh, until someone notified her that the police were waiting for her, and she went and met up with her grandpa at the cafe.
Did she describe what had happened after the incident?
Where it happened?
No, did she describe what had happened after what she had witnessed after the incident?
Uh, she described that she, had woken up in his blood on top of his body, and then she hid it under a bridge for a number of hours before washing his blood off and coming back to camp.
And did she admit that the actions led to the victim's death? Her actions led to the victim's death?
She stated that she picked up the victim. She's the one who took the victim where they were going. Stated she got extremely upset and angry with him, and when she got really upset and frustrated, angry, she kind of blacked out and doesn't remember what she did.
Or where was Miss Hoshin located after she turned herself in?
We kept Miss Hoshin unrestrained for 2. so that she could get help from both psychiatrists and get a medical doctor in NPC to check her out to make sure that she was healthy. We wanted her to have a lawyer and the doctor up there. So we were there for a number of hours before we were able to get a hold of a judge, who then had her taken to watch.
Was the defendant verbal during the stay?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the defendant seem conscious of their whereabouts?
I see where she's going.
Yes, ma'am.
I see it. The angle.
How soon after arrival did the incident occur uh, of the broken door?
The broken door, I believe, was either a day or 2 days after her confinement into watch. I believe it might have been the next day.
What was the defendant doing?
When I
After-
arrived, she was fishing off the side of the cliff.
Did she seem aware of her surroundings?
At that time, she seemed aware of her surroundings, yes, but she, was not what I would call, you know, probably there. She definitely needed help.
That hurts the angle a little bit, but hey, things will happen.
Was the defendant able to leave the secured area?
Yeah, unfortunately, I was unable to close that door back up as it had been ripped off. So she had free reign of the island.
Did this behavior occur more than once?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on your observations, did the defendant comply with the facility's rules?
I believe there was a time where the defendant would have been unable to understand the rules of the facility.
When analyzing the blue fur, where did you analyze that at?
I did not analyze that fur.
Who analyzed it?
It was given to me by Superstar, and it was sourced from the hospital.
So somebody at the hospital analyzed the fur?
The statement I put in there, was that the fur that was put in the evidence matched the fur that was given. That was not the fur was not handed to me at all. I did not do the forensics testing or handle the fur.
Who handled the forensic testing and the fur?
A combination of, I believe, Officer Gordon.
And who else?
It would be a Superstar.
Did my client at any point in time happen to show any threat to you or your fellow officers while she turned herself in?
No, ma'am. That's why we did not keep her restrained.
Did my client at any point in time tell you that she could not recall anything that happened during this event?
As I stated in my previous testimony, she stated she had gotten extremely frustrated and angry at him because of things he was saying. And then she blacked out and then woke up on top of him covered in his blood.
Is it possible that we can bring Superstar to the stand, sir?
The state wouldn't be opposed.
The state doesn't oppose it, then surprise witness accepted. The courts recognize Superstar.
And I'd also like to know that at this time, my client does not feel safe with Superstar. She has made that explicitly known to us, and we have brought it to your attention as well.
So noted. Bailiff, please swear in the hero Superstar.
How you doing today, Superstar?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Objection, Your Honor. Too nice.
Damn, forgot to
Objection
remember.
overruled. You know that the first question can be a familiar question.
Objection, Your Honor. I like your hair.
Objection also overruled. We all know I wear it good. Please proceed, defense.
Superstar, can you tell me your relationship with my client?
She's my friend.
Can you recall the incident that happened that's brought forth to us today?
Yes, clearly.
Can you describe the incident that happened?
Are you referring to Redeploy's death or the admission of guilt?
Correct. The redeploys death.
So I had woken up. I was informed by a colleague of his death, and it was during a moment where everybody was pointing fingers and trying to figure out what had happened.
At any point in time during the finger pointing, did you talk to my client?
Yes,
At what point did she admit guilt?
I believe it was between 1 and 2 days after the fact.
Did my client at any point in time state to you anything about her mental state?
Yes.
What was mentioned?
Fear, confusion, anger, and a general lack of control.
At any point in time, did she state to you what she was fearful of?
Yes. During the admission of guilt, I believe that it was brought forth by the initial transformation of her body and the lack of control that she felt in that moment. This is just the impression I got. She was confused, didn't know what was happening, and that was what brought it up to me.
Did my client, upon surrendering and turning herself in, hand you the weapon that was used in the commission of this crime?
Yes,
Can you describe what that weapon was?
the weapon was a red katana.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Alrighty, prosecution. Would you like to cross-examine this witness?
I have a few. So, Mr. Redeploy, you stated that after being transferred to Bolingbroke, you found the defendant in front of the visitation glass.
Correct.
Should the defendant be behind the visitation glass?
I would think so.
Have you ever seen anyone in front of the visitation glass that's supposed to be in the visitation glass?
Honestly, that was my first visit to Bolingbroke.
So, clarify for the courts, are you saying the defendant broke out of Bolingbroke?
I am not saying that one way or another, but what I saw when I entered through unlocked doors through the civilian visit, and in the room where civilians come in to sit and speak to the other side of the glass, the defendant was on that side with me. But I have no way of knowing if the defendant broke out. To answer your question specifically, I couldn't know that.
How long have you been here, Mr. Superstar?
I think it's coming up to about 2.5 weeks.
I've got no more questions, honestly.
Alrighty, defense, redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Alrighty, sir, you may step down. You will not be recalled, so you may go where you please. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Alrighty, prosecution, any evidence you would like to highlight?
Apologies, Your Honor. My notes are getting a bit long at this point.
Your Honor, while we are waiting for the prosecution, we have had some threats made, some credible threats when it comes to the defendant, as well as things like attacks and escapes. When you go into deliberation, I think it would be best for us to move the defense team and the defendant to the holding area. Are you okay with that?
I accept this, as it may take me some time to deliberate. Good call, Mr. Bailiff. Thank you.
Of course, sir. Here to help.
Yes, I'd like to draw specific attention to the evidence in report number 376. Specifically, the blue fur that was found at the scene and later matched to Sina Hoshin following the transformation, her new transformation. Of course, the weapon, the red katana, that also had that was recovered upon her surrender. Blood that was on the blade that matched Skylar after a forensic evaluation. Blood on the hilt that matched both Skylar and Miss Hoshin. The skin cells on the hilt that also matched Miss Hoshin. I'd also like to bring to the court's attention that even after being moved to Bolingbroke, she was witnessed not in custody, which is consistent with her not remaining within a facility so that she can seek treatment. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, prosecution. Defense, any evidence you'd like to highlight?
Your Honor, no evidence that we would like to highlight.
All right, then we shall be moving to closings. Considering the time frame here, I'd be willing to grant a little bit of time so that we may adjust our closings based on what we've heard here. However, I will ask, prosecution, defense, do either of you need time?
Yes, please, Your Honor. That surprise witness, I do need time to craft to add that in.
Yes, Your Honor, we are writing our closing.
We would like some time too, Your Honor, to finish our closing statement.
Fantastic. A written closing is a better closing. Let us reconvene in 9 minutes. Phenomenal. Alrighty then. Prosecution, your closing.
Okay, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, and Miss Brenda. The evidence in this case is not really complex. It's consistent and complete. The forensic evidence establishes a direct connection between the defendant and the murder weapon. The victim suffered 23 stab wounds and a fatal severing of the carotid artery. The weapon recovered in this case contains the victim's blood on the blade and the defendant's biological material on the hilt. That creates an objective link between the defendant and the instrument used and the fatal injury. The court heard testimony from the hero superstar regarding the defendant's conduct while under supervision and within structured environments. That testimony is not about the incident itself, however, it is about a pattern of behaviors and a pattern of noncompliance, repeated inability or refusal to remain within custody or a controlled setting, and continued possession of items consistent with escape while under said supervision. The defense has raised diminished capacity, but the evidence presented does not remove responsibility. At most, it provides some context. It doesn't negate action, and it doesn't break causation. And it most definitely does not undermine the physical evidence tying the defendant to the crime. So the evidence can point that Ms. Hoshin did in fact commit the murder. The important part today is that justice is served, and that when the record is viewed as a whole, it presents a complete story. The defendant's conduct and the forensic findings and supporting testimony all point to the same conclusion, Your Honor. For that reason, the state asks the court to return the only verdict supported by the evidence, which is guilty and a new permanent residence for her own safety due to criminal threats.
Thank you, prosecutor. Defense, you're closing.
Your Honor, today we showcased that the level of evidence and fact gathering needed to charge someone with a crime to that level was not met in the court of law. Where she admittedly handed herself in out of guilt, it was also highlighted multiple times she was deemed to be in an altered mental state at numerous points of the investigation process. Whether it was guilt for not knowing what happened when she blacked out or when she was accused of the murder in the following days, there is more than enough holes in this case to make these following points. This case was brought forward based on my client admission of guilt, never stating that she actually inflicted the wounds that were proven to be fatal to the victim. There is an egregious lack of testimony from law enforcement or the witness pointing toward my client ever wielding the weapon beyond handing it over to law enforcement, or at least in a way that could justify her killing someone with it, as well as that very surprising mismatch between the officer statements and their testimonies, as there is no record of the admission of my client killing the victim anywhere near any report provided to this court. Beyond proving her guilt or her innocence, all of this does not take away from the fact that my client did, in fact, hand herself in from the belief that she may be implicated in the death of her friend. My client cooperated with law enforcement and medical professionals to ensure the safety of everyone that came in contact with her, and that she did comply with the judicial proceedings to the best of her ability until this very day.
Alrighty. Thank you, defense. Considering the weight of these charges, before I go back to deliberate, Miss Hoshine, I would like to offer you the opportunity. Is there anything you would like to say in your own defense?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
When it comes to all this, I do want to state that I was in the process of getting my lawyer previously never submitted anything to this case, leaving us in a position of inability to defend anything previous to this. I do honestly want to state that I think that the medical people that were involved should have been listened to. You need to understand that I redeployed was one of my best friends. I can't remember much right now, as I do need to go through some medical treatments to fix things. But I do remember that this person was a friend of mine, and I would never hurt my friend or somebody that I cared about. And I would never harm another individual. Yet, here I am in this position.
Alrighty. Thank you. So, with this all being said, I will now go back and deliberate. While I am back to deliberate, I am going to, at the recommendation of the information provided to me about the threats that are being placed right now against both the defendant and the courts as a whole, request that the defendant is placed back into the holding cells along with their defense attorneys. They are to remain present with their client through the entirety of this. I will be going back to the other side to deliberate, and when I return, you will all be returned back to this room for our safety. Thank you.
All rise.
Bailiff, please see the defendant and counsel returned.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hey, you said smoking's permitted in this court, right?
That is correct, yes.
Hello. I'm approaching.
I'm lighting one up for my homie Hugo.
What the?
Well, that's interesting.
That's new.
Your Honor, if you want explanation on why my client is now in a red state of form instead of blue, I will be gladly to explain that to you.
Well,
I'm just shocked
I
that
got
she's in this
things
form,
before
period,
that.
because
Of
I
course,
saw her
now
in her
back in
human
session,
form
Honorable
yesterday.
Judge Mike Kiffer presiding.
Alrighty, would we like a quick explanation of why you are red?
I'm curious.
Let's hear it then.
Your Honor, I asked the same question of my client down in the holding cells, and the answer I got was because this individual's DNA is unstable at this current state in time. She has been getting medical treatment, MPC, and the medical staff. Upon your verdict here, I would like to be ask if she can be put back into Watch's care at MPC, um, so she can continue to get the medical treatment to help her get stable.
Oh boy, defense, you're gonna love the verdict I already pre-wrote and will now speak. Alrighty. So, first murder trial in the state. Let's talk about second-degree murder. It is the variant of murder we ascribe to killing of another individual with intent. This is what would separate it from the manslaughters. And what separates it from the first degree is its lack of premeditation. So the question then posed is, what has the state proven today? The state has proven that Miss Sinahoshi was at the scene of the crime on the date in question. Miss Hoshi has been proven to have been in possession of the murder weapon, along with DNA evidence linking her to the location and murder weapon directly. Furthermore, her full admission of guilt has been entered into evidence. And even beyond this, the state has proven that Miss Hoshine remains a flight risk who has attempted to sneak around the punishment imposed upon her. The courts are not stupid, and the testimony entered here today, even by the defense's own witnesses, corroborates these facts. The defense's arguments have rested in no small part upon diminished capacity, what is colloquially known as a plea of insanity. This is not currently accepted as a viable defense nor plea in this state. So considering these facts, the court will be finding Sinahoshine guilty of second-degree murder. As for sentencing, the courts can acknowledge that she may be a flight risk and will require additional supervision regardless of her choice. The court shall grant, though, a choice to Miss Hoshine. Your plight has not fallen on deaf ears. You may choose where you serve the remainder of your penalty. Your choices are either you may return to Bolingbroke and serve a 14-year total sentence, so 7 more years. If you attempt to break out again, the courts would remind you that being outside of secured areas can be considered jailbreak and should be charged appropriately. Or you may be remanded to the new and improved Watch. Serve a minimum of 12 years total, with 7 having been served, but as long as it takes for you to receive clearance by medical professionals employed by the state to verify that you have completely gained control of your current feathered state. This facility is far more secure and, as I understand it, cleaner than the last. Regardless of your choice, you will be provided medical treatment and all necessary rights observed. So what will it be, Miss Hoshine?
I'd like to work with MPC, so I'd like to go to this new watch location.
To the new watch you shall be remanded then. Court is now adjourned. Bailiff, would you please see that the defendant is sent to the cells over here until a vehicle is acquired to send her to the new watch?
Yes, sir. We're getting that scheduled right now. I will get her moved.
Thank you very much.